How's everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday. Now get ready for tomorrow. Papa Powell going on the microphone. Papa Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This your boy TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. Yo, what's up chat? How's everyone doing? Welcome back. Let me turn the music down real quick. Welcome to the final episode of this week. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful day. I gave back all my profits sadly, but not a big red, so that doesn't hurt as much as it could have. Trust me, it could have gotten real bad at one point, but no, small little red day, but started the day really hot, started the day green with some profits being made. And there were other opportunities that I traded poorly that could have helped me honestly make some money on the day and maybe even make a lot of money on the day. So I'll show you guys my trades very soon, and after that we're gonna get ready for the final day of the week, the free fall Friday, tomorrow being the day where Coinbase gets added to the S&P 500 index. So there's lots on store, lots in store, lots on store, lots to talk about in general. As always, when you're with me, I like to talk a lot, so lots to talk about. So why don't we go to the full screen and dive right in, starting with my trades, and also looking for the stocks to take a look at tomorrow. Couple of you in the chat already. TH asking me, is that Tom Brady? No, Tom Brady. I'm guessing you're asking about the the CEO's face that I obviously substituted with my face. No, it's a Take-Two CEO, Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two Interactive is the company that owns Rockstar Games, so that's GTA. It's the company that owns 2K Games, so that is your NBA 2K, the what's it called, the PGA 2K, the I don't know if there's a FIFA 2K, NHL 2K, but basically all the 2K sports interactive games, Take-Two Interactive owns them, and I'm not sure what other brands or big franchises they own, but obviously it's a pretty big company. They're near their all-time highs. Well, sadly not anymore, because they did drop about $10 to the south side today in the after hours. Well, I guess about $6.20 here in the after hours. Off their earnings report, reporting Q1, we kind of saw some of this action already playing out when GTA got postponed not too long ago, so that one dropped to the south side. But the stock, pushed right back up north after that. Pushed right back up north after selling off from the GTA news, and very close to the all-time highs. But sadly, the earnings report coming back in and pushing the stock again to the downside. So maybe some trade opportunities over here to keep an eye out for. That was a very bullish indication. The fact that we pushed back under previous resistance, which was the previous all-time high, and immediately bounced right off of the 5-day moving, or is it, sorry, the 50-day moving average, bounced right off of the earnings VWAP and move right back into the all-time high area. But sadly, off of this report, we're now going to go test those buyers again. So we'll be interested to see how it sets up. It's going to be a little hard to short this stock going into a rising 50-day moving average, especially after that bounce. But the trade is a trade at the end of the day, and if it sets up, I think we're gonna look for it. I'm much, the point is, I'm not gonna take a breakdown short if the stock is at 215. If it's at 220 and not able to hold 220 on the bid, depending on how the earnings report is, we'll take a look at the earnings report very soon. Depending on how the earnings report is, if the stock is giving me a short around this 219, 220, possibly looking for a bigger move down. We'll obviously dive into Take-Two a little bit more after I show you guys my trades on the day. A couple of my good trades today. Cisco, SCS, yeah, Cisco reported earnings, did they report earnings today pre-market or yesterday after hours? Yesterday after hours. So we did talk about the stock. I do remember talking about it now. I was talking about how I was looking for the stock to hold in the higher end of its after hour ranges, and it actually does so all through pre-market. I was so close to even nailing the call out that the stock could push towards all-time high. It got very, very close. It didn't get to it. It didn't get above it, but it got very, very close to the all-time high, which was $65.75 today, but the all-time high is $66, and selling off after that, I guess probably because the market took a little bit of a hit. Meta announced that they're going to delay their new AI model, and that was selling off the stock. I think Coinbase had some issues too. Not that Coinbase is in the market, but Coinbase had some issues, and all things combined, a bunch of stocks sold off going into the close. At least the market looked a little weaker into the close today. So Cisco possibly bleeding because of that, but boy, oh boy, was I so close to nailing the call out perfectly. And I was also close to trading that stock perfectly, because I guess I was ready for it, right? That's the advantage of doing these streams, of doing your homework. So Cisco, pulling it up on actually, on a 10-second chart. I pulled it up on a 10-second chart, and I found some levels to get along and look for the trade. Starting on the position was fine. Adding on this was fine, but that ad, honestly, probably not the best ad. That could have been very bad, and had the stock gone against me, I would have probably tilted very quickly on that trade. So because I do add kind of stupid, I instantly take profits on this trade, but now I'm managing to hold the original size that I had from down here for a possible bigger move, and then using my pops to get out into proactive pop covers, using 2-minute lows to take profit, using 5-minute lows to take profit, and trying to hold some for the bigger move. But sadly, the stock does get slightly below the 90 EMA, so I close the trade, but it immediately reclaims the 90 EMA and then pushes back up north. So missing out on the dream move, which was the move move into all-time high, but I guess at the end of the day, even if I did get that, I potentially would have been kicked out of the trade somewhere in this area, possibly even done with the trade somewhere over here on the breakdown. So I'm happy with how I did. That entry was honestly not worth it at all, because look what it made me do, right? So this is actually a very good point to bring up about sizing. If you're not sized accurately, or not accurately, if you're not sized properly for your risk appetite, you will tend to hold the trade a little bit longer than you should. You will overstay your welcome. But if you are undersized on your trade, then what you will sorry, did I say right? If you're undersized on your trade, you will overstay your welcome. But if you are oversized on your trade, like I end up doing over here, or if you're sizing in a negative EV spot, which is exactly what I do, it's oversizing and adding into a trade when the EV is actually negative. So it doesn't make sense to do that. And when you do things like that, your emotions will kick in and you start trading the trade just poorly. It just never makes sense to take those type of entries. So just try to keep a note of yourself if you are doing something like that. I do have a really bad issue of not taking the most size on my first entries. Usually my first entries are the best EV spots that I could find for my trade. For example, right there, imagine I pushed all my risk in that spot, and instead of having to add on the breakouts all stupid, I would have potentially been able to capture that move, have it all the way pulled back into VWAP. I would have been able to see how the stock trades at VWAP, and then been able to catch the second leg, maybe even add somewhere in this area on the bounce off of the 9 EMA on the 5 minutes. So a couple ideas as to how I need to get better, which is getting your size at your first entry spot and not really ruining the trade for me by adding in the worst EV positions and so on. And one of the tools that I actually built for myself to help me with that is a live EV calculator on my trade. So as the trade goes on, right now that box is a little too high, so I'll set it to auto. And also I'll need to turn on pane label. So right there, you can see how it says original EV, live EV, Lance EV. That's basically showing you that, what would be the EV of the trade if you are going long right now. That was your stop and that was your target. So EV is 1, which is good, right? Positive EV is exactly what you need for a trade. But the live EV, based on the stop, it's not actually somewhere where maybe it doesn't work for after hours. I don't want to talk about it for the after hours session. But generally, when you're in the trade, you set it up for your entry, your stop, and your target. And the live EV updates as the stock is going higher and lower. And that will help me stay away from adding to the worst position. Sadly, I did not have that going today because off the open, it's too quick to kind of even set up the EV calculator. It's not automatic. I have to go into settings and mess with it. So not having enough time to do that off the open and then adding all stupid, but that's not an excuse, right? You should know just by being in that position, okay, like you have the size you have here, you don't add over there. That's just not the smartest thing to do. You just stay away from it. Baba reported earnings, smoked to the downside, bounced to the VWAP, and then rejects off of VWAP area. So taking the crack of the buyers of this little back and forth and basically risking back through VWAP, getting a nice little move to the downside, trying to take the opening range low breakdown. Even though I did take the breakdown, what I knew was a level down right below the breakdown. It was like about $1 right below the breakdown. It was last week's high or last week's low. I can't remember, but it was one of those levels. So I knew that level was right there. And even though I knew the level was there, I was expecting the stock to kind of break through that level and go lower. My manager did point out that that was also the rising 20 EMA on the daily chart, or 20 day moving average, or maybe it was a 50-day moving average. I can't forget. So punching short into the rising moving averages on one of the strongest Chinese names out there. So not the smartest thing to do, I guess, when you're taking these trades. But I kept the risk tight, and I kept it quick, right? You can see how I add to my trade after taking profits. I don't take the first breakdown. I take profits, and then I take the second breakdown. But when the second breakdown doesn't have follow through, I instantly get out. The next time the stock pops up, I could have maybe gotten short somewhere here, but I wait for the breakdown, and then I take the breakdown. That immediately bounces right off the last week's level, and you know, once it bounces and pushes back into basically my break-even area, I'm looking at the tape, and the tape is telling me we're not going anywhere. I get out, I get some profits on the last few shares, and then I try to replicate the same thing, because now we pop and now we're rejecting here. Sellers are basically moving lower. Okay, if that's the case, maybe there is a move where we take out the last week's low and continue, but nope. Not giving me what I want to see, so I instantly get out of that trade. And then much later on, I try to see that, you know, going into the end of the day, maybe there is that juice that I want to see on this name. Nope, doesn't happen. So end of the day, that's basically the short that I got to play with, which is right off of like a, you could say VWAP rejection. It wasn't really VWAP rejection, but the sellers were not allowing the stock to really pile back up. So just taking that little range breakdown and enjoying that little quick scalp on BABA to the downside. This one is very regretful. Kind of got yelled at by my manager for the way I traded this long over here. So let's talk about it. UNH on day 2, I guess. You know, day 1 was yesterday where it got pushed lower. Day 2, basically after hours, I guess 10 o'clock at night or something, you had some sort of an investigation happening. You know, the stock going even lower after that. Big move to the downside right off the open. It's a pretty big down move on the daily chart. The stock was just recently at like what, $400, and now we're at $250. Like, insane move to the downside. So looking for some sort of a capitulation off the open for a long move back up, and keeping my wrist tight. Didn't lose anything there. Didn't lose anything here either. But I'm not sure why I stopped trading after that. There was a trade right here. You could have potentially drawn a trend line. This is the SMB Capital setup too, where the backside scalp kind of comes into play. There is a rubber band scalp along over here. So there was a couple setups that you could have applied to take that long on UNH, which obviously after I got stopped out, I just stopped looking at the name so I don't tilt and I don't get into more trades on this name. But sadly, that was the time to tilt and get into a trade. Missing out on a big move into VWAP. In this area, there was the fashionably late scalp, another SMB Capital setup that you could have applied, which is exactly what I did. So I applied it on the 5-minute. If you were to do it on the 2-minute, you get long somewhere over here. If you're doing it on the 5-minute, you get long exactly where I get long, but the risk was like 256, 257. So my risk is almost like $6-7 risk, and I'm expecting a move back to today's open, which was 274, 275, which is exactly what the game plan for fashionably late scalp from SMB outlines. So eventually I do start getting that move up, and I start trailing 5-minute bar lows. And that triggers, and sadly I no longer in the trade, so I'm no longer in that position. There was an opportunity to also look for a second chance scalp, if you want to call it. You can see how the stock had a nice range, breaks out of the range, pulls back to that range high, and then bounces right back to the north side. So it does have a second chance scalp over here also. So out of the 5 setups that SMB Capital posted on their website for free, for absolutely free, this one name today gave you 1, 2, 3, and then a forced one right here. So 4 setups that you could have applied to get long intraday, potentially even swing it. I know a lot of people are swinging this name for the long side. The PE on this name is now like what, 10 or something, so very, very cheap. Still the biggest, maybe not, but still the biggest insurance company in America from what I remember, the conversations being floating around. So it doesn't make sense to get smoked this dark, this deep to the downside. Just the fact that the CEO left. Maybe the CEO didn't want to get killed. He said, screw this, I'm out. The other CEO got killed. I'm not going to be next. I'm out of this. And see, he left. So I could see that happening. But the fundamentals of the company doesn't change at the end of the day. They're still going to scam the shit out of people. And they're still going to, you know, charge people 10 times more to keep you in the same hospital beds and so on. So that's not going to change. Unless, you know, Trump's actually making a little bit of a difference. We'll see if the pharmaceutical prices actually come down, if the pharma drug prices actually come down. If the next thing would be, if that happens, and obviously UNH could take a hit off of that. Anyways, let's talk about my trades again. DKS, this one hurts the soul a lot. So pretty good entry if you ask me. You know, very, very patient entry. I was itching to enter short around this area, and I waited. And you know, eventually I said I'll take the breakdown of somewhere around this area if it does happen, and I just kept waiting. It goes into 181, and now we're getting lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So I figure, okay, it's giving me, you know, kind of what I want to see now. What I can expect from this stock is potentially a move to the downside, or just more chop where I can get out for flat. So I was ready for the risk, but at the end of the day, the stop was still above 181, where the stock did pop into, but didn't stop me out. After it does pop and not stop me out, comes back down, looks like it's about to go, but you know, I start reading this 1 minute area into it, and I closed my position for flat, sadly. So missing out on what could have been another banger trade. So UNH could have been a banger trade had I not trailed the 5 minute lows. DKS could have been a banger trade had I not read into the 1 minute too much over there. Sometimes you just gotta zoom out. You know, you got the trade, you got the stop, you accepted the risk that was on board. Just let it play out. And no, sadly, that was not how I was gonna do that. Couple losses here, where I actually gave away most of my profits. Was on Foot Locker. Most of my profits was given away on Foot Locker, trying to do what I thought I knew how to do. But no, apparently I don't know how to do that anymore. So buyout trading, got absolutely beat up on this one. This is where all my profits were gone. The rest of these names were basically scratches. There's like a small loss here, small loss there. Quickly show you these trades. QBTS trying along after the stock got above 12, pushed back below 12, and looks like it's gonna try and get back above VWAP. So I gave it one attempt. You know, looks like buyers were trying to step back above the opening range and step back above VWAP. I gave it one shot. The buyers failed to continue to do that. Sorry, buyers failed to continue to do that, and pushed it right back to the south side. So taking my exit, small attempt long, and taking the loss. Trying to see if the market moved down at this time could give me an Amazon breakdown, but more importantly, I was looking for a Google breakdown at this time. Google had a very clear flat bottom, amazing flat bottom all day, right into yesterday's VWAP. So I was very interested to see if Google could break down over here for for a short. But I guess since Google just kind of double bottomed into yesterday's VWAP, there was some sort of a long here back into yesterday's high or last week's high, whatever this level is over here. There was a pretty good long, but I was more interested in the short side. And because Google didn't give me the trade, I honestly forced it on Amazon. So just took the breakdown even before the breakdown happened. Silly shit, just to kind of be in a trade to just you know, keep myself active. Not any size, so that's kind of a good thing, but why even do it? This is just bad habits to not have, right? Could have just waited for Google, and if you did wait for Google much later in the day did break down and just slam to the downside. Right? All right, SMCI had a big move off the open to the south side. I waited for the pop looked like it was gonna give you a little move down. Fairly cheap trade. I'm not upset with this one, but what I could have done is potentially flipped long in this area, because that is the fashionably late scalp, and it actually gives you the one measured move target. So could have potentially flipped long, but I just don't like SMCI at the moment for the long side. So I was more interested on the short side. So sometimes it's hard to flip a bias like that. Last but not least, Boot. Boot had a nice pop in the on the daily off of its earnings report. Was really looking to see if there was a breakout above 159 to get long. The stock pushes into the 159 area and has a very solid tight range between 150, 750 and 159. So I buy the dip of that range, looking for the breakout so I can add on the breakout. Sadly, the breakout doesn't have any follow through and pushes right back down, so I quickly get out of the trade. Maybe I could have even gotten out for a flat trade and not really lose on this one, but the amount of size I had doesn't matter. So it was like a C trade, D trade. Gave it a very little risk at the end of the day, and I'm okay with it. You know, overall flat day today. Cisco, Baba were my best trades of the day. DKS and UNH, even though DKS I don't really lose on it, DKS and UNH bite the cake for my worst trades of the day. And UNH I actually make money on it, but still bites the, you know, it takes the rank 1 spot for the worst trade of the day for me, because boy oh boy, had I stopped looking at this name just because I got stopped out. This wasn't even a playbook trade. These are just trades that my manager called out, and I said, okay, I'll take it. If he likes it, I'll take it, because if I do end up losing on it, you know, it's not like I'm gonna get yelled at. It's his setup, I'm gonna take it. He likes it, I like it. But had I actually looked for a setup entry, the right side of the V type of a trade, you draw your trend line, you know, monster trade right there for the upside. And a lot of people on Twitter, you can see, actually took that very same entry, and someone who I respect a lot, you know, he replied that his entry was based on the break of the previous 10-minute candle high. That's pretty interesting, right? Learn from just asking. Well, learn from you know, just asking people on Twitter, and if they answer you, great. If they don't, you know, at least you shot your shot, and that's all you can do. So UNH, worst trade. It's something to cry about. Going to now, the next segment of the stream is what we have on store for tomorrow. Lots of names over here on the watch list. Hopefully I'm able to get through most of them. Let's actually start with the earnings board, because we have a couple big hitters over here to take a look at. Oh, Docs is Doximity. Okay, let's see if Docs moved in the after hours. DOCS. Okay, Doc's absolutely moving in the after hours. That's what we like to see. So that also goes in the watch list. So we'll put that one right below Kava, DOCS, Doximity, and we'll take a look at that one. Along with Doximity, you got the, you know, obviously Take Two. It's in the title of all the streams, and if you're watching on YouTube, you saw the thumbnail with the Take Two thumbnail. Kava, if I remember correctly, is like a Chipotle, right? It's like a vegetarian Chipotle, vegan Chipotle, if I remember correctly. Or maybe no, Kava is not even vegetarian. If they have a beef beef bowl, which they were talking about being like a #1 seller and how people were coming back and so on. So yeah, kava for sure important. AMAT for sure important too. Applied Materials, and I know sadly they dropped to the downside. No names in the after hours I'm gonna care too much about. Some of the names already from the current earnings watch list. SE, that one's in my swing account, and SE is going, baby, making a new high a day into the close while the market's going down. Okay, SE, we like seeing things like that. So SE making a nice pop up into the close and making a new high a day. Just swinging it, baby. As long as we keep taking out previous days highs and never really getting below previous days low, that's all we want to see. Sadly, Hood did get below previous days low, but look what Hood did. It bounced right off the 5-day moving average. So I'm still holding it. I guess I shouldn't say right off of it. 5-day moving average is we did penetrate it and go a little bit lower, but still above the 5-day moving average and looking pretty bullish of a chart if you ask me on Robinhood. Closing above 60, that's pretty good. And now at this point, I don't want to see the stock below 57.50 for my last few shares. If I do see the stock get below 57.50, then I'm done with this trade and I'll wait for a dip buy for another round 2. So things like this, I love seeing on the portfolio. Sadly, Google pulling down a little bit, almost back to my average price over here after looking really good yesterday. But hey, we are right back into the Apple news prices, and trading around that is okay with me for now. So watching how Google sets up into the next few days, next few weeks. Nvidia, some of these names I wish I had on my swing trade. Sadly missing out on Nvidia and Tesla. Tesla did break yesterday's low, but still above the 5-day moving average. And as long as Tesla keeps holding the 5-day moving average, there's no reason for you to really cover your position at all. For those of you who did swing trade Tesla, so watching Tesla go up, and it is on the watch list too. But coming back to the day trade, scans and stocks that I'm going to be interested for tomorrow, because that's what the show is about, right? I'm more of a day trader than a swing trader. Maybe now I'm a little bit of a both, right? I'm doing swing and both at the same damn time. So watching both sides of the books and hopefully not having that mess with my head too much. Please, God. Okay, Walmart reporting earnings today, actually getting smoked off the earnings report, but recovering all of the loss for the rest of the day. Insane V-shaped recovery right off the open. So beautiful move going into, I guess, yesterday's yesterday's low, sorry, and getting back right above yesterday's low. Pretty good move if you ask me on Walmart. Will be interesting to see how it sets up tomorrow. With the way it moves today, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep going higher, especially if the market goes higher tomorrow. Also, Walmart did say that they are expecting the tariff-based price surges to start going into effect next week. That just means more money for Walmart, okay? So we'll see how Walmart sets up over there for the tariff prices hike and so on. I'm pretty sure Walmart's not going to see too much of a decrease in sales and so on. Couple other stocks from today's watch list, or just in general, not ones that reported earnings. DKS making a pretty decent move to the downside. The downside move is more so because the stock is buying out Foot Locker. Usually when an acquirer is buying out a company, it makes sense that the stock goes down, but the fundamentals of the company doesn't really change at the end of the day. If anything, it might even get boosted depending on the company they're buying. If you ask me, Foot Locker, absolute garbage. They could just buy it, shelf it, take their inventory, and just use Foot Locker stores as Dick's Sporting Goods stores itself. But maybe they want to keep the brand alive. Who knows? Maybe they want to keep the brand alive for nostalgic effects, because the brand might have a little bit of a value more than I'm giving it. But that's for Dick's Sporting Goods to decide, not me. For us, all we care is how does the stock behave tomorrow on pops. Does it stay below 180 just like it did today all day, or does it reclaim 180 and start looking bullish above that price? So we'll see how that sets up in pre-market and throughout the day tomorrow. I think it's gonna have very light volume based on how it traded today, so maybe the priority is not as high. It's not going to be a purple priority. I'll still give it an orange priority on this name. You can see how the 30-day moving 30-day volume average is 1.72, and today we did 11 million, so that's a very big spike on the volume over there. I'm not expecting that volume to sustain. Even if we do get 4 million volume overall tomorrow, I'll be surprised, and I think that's enough of enough volume to see if there's a trade for us to play with. Ideally, it's that 180 area. I don't want to see the stock back above 180. Oh, I put it in the wrong boxes. Ideally, don't want to see the stock back above 180, and any pop and failure into that price point, looking to get short on this bad boy. Foot Locker, I mean, yeah, I got beat up on this one today, and no real reason to. There wasn't really a setup to short where I was shorting it. Maybe, you know, whatever. There wasn't a reason to short it the way I did, and the stock absolutely got smoked. It absolutely ran up to the north side and smoked the shorts is what I wanted to say. So holding VWAP and reclaiming and basically going right back into the deletion price. There is a little bit of a weird deal for this, however. So there is a chance maybe the stock can trade above 24, but that's contingent on if DKS trades above a different price point. So I don't know how it really works out. There's a strange deal. So I will try to short this name tomorrow in front of 24 again. But that being said, I don't know if I'll be going as hard as I did today and risking my whole day. I basically risked my whole day on this trade because I was so confident, thinking that the stock was just going to slam right back to the downside. I don't know why I did that. It was you know, just over cockiness and overconfident from the way the day started, and being so having a strong start on the day with Cisco and with Baba. Wow, look at that candle on UNH. Monster reversal candle on UNH. Basically round tripped and U-shaped recovery. And as I mentioned earlier, couple trade setups were offered today on this name. I guess 4 out of 5 is what I said earlier. So multiple opportunities to the downside and to the long side. I think tomorrow the basic trade will be, can the stock get above today's high? If it does get above today's high, it's a no-brainer long at that point. So any dips tomorrow, as long as the stock is above today's high, I will be watching to see if there is a long trade. I'm expecting volume to die down drastically, but let's say the stock is not even able to reclaim today's high and struggling around it, then that's an easy short over there for us to put ourselves in and play with. 276.65 is today's high. I'll just, I guess, okay, fine. What is today's high? 276.65. And we'll keep that one on watch. Let me just delete some of my old lines. Oopsies. Lines, not indicators. And now switch to the next stock. Cisco. Oh, it's not, what? It's not a special candle? How's that not a special candle? It's 2 times the volume. Maybe it's not the 2 times the volume as the previous day. It's only you know, maybe 1.5 times the volume as previous day, but it is 2 times the candle size as previous day. So I'd say today's midpoint is still a little important, but the way the stock reacted over here, potentially not as bullish as I wanted to be. So maybe a pop into 66 tomorrow would give us a good short to play off of. So watching the stock, without a doubt, it's going to potentially give you a day 2 opportunity. Watching it on the 5-minute for some sort of a setup to play out. Today's low was 62, 63 actually was today's low, so maybe a dip into 63 and a hold at 63 could give you some sort of a long over there. But the stock is basically around the midpoint of the today's high to today's low, so not much to read into over there. Either you get to get long at 63 for a bounce back into today's midpoint, or you get to short from 66 to get a move back into today's midpoint. Those are the only two opportunities I really care about. The third opportunity that you could look out for is the breakdown of 63 for a gap fill of some sort, but with how good the report was, I'm not sure that's even in the picture. I think we actually see a bounce off of 63 tomorrow, but I'm not an oracle, I'm not no future teller. If I was, I wouldn't be on this show right now talking to you about stocks. I'd be a billionaire sitting on a beach, and chilling, relaxing, enjoying my time, right? So not working as hard as I do. So I'm not a fortune teller, but what I do think is going to happen is there's a bounce from 63 on Costco. So Cisco. Costco, speaking of Costco, let's go take a look at that one. Oh, baby, look at Costco's potential breakout coming into play. I mean, that one you gotta set an alert for, potentially even keep an eye out for the swing account. Now, granted, I can't afford that much of Costco. I'm gonna need to buy like fractional shares of Costco if I want to by Costco over here. But monster move over here coming up potentially for you big ballers who can afford multiple shares of Costco for your swing account. Potentially a good breakout for the upside. So keep an eye on this one. I set an alert into that $1,000 area. I just had to look at Costco to see what it did in reaction to Walmart. So it looks like it did drop lower, but exactly same as Walmart corrected itself back up north today. So did Costco. So monster move. I guess it bounced right off the 1,000 area. Yeah, it did get below 1,000, but reclaimed 1,000 right back into the close. So good move on Costco. Nice one. Baba. This one will be for sure something to keep an eye on. 122.50 is basically the under over for the downside. If we do see some weakness under 122.50 is that's kind of last week's low. So if we do get below that, there could be some room to the downside. You can see how now we're finally either under all the major moving averages or around it, right around those moving averages. So the 21, the 9, the 50, the 5-day moving average, so they're all right around this area. This could open up some room to the downside, and the daily chart also has some room to the downside over here. So even potentially a gap down in the after hours where it eliminates the trade that I'm looking for. Ideally, it's a short below 123, 122.50 for a move into 120, for a move into 117 on Alibaba. So pretty high priority, almost as high priority as UNH for tomorrow. And I hope I don't trade that one poorly. Walmart day 2. No, I meant to put this one as orange. There we go. Boot did pull back, so I'm not expecting much to happen on this name, but it is just something on the watch list to keep an eye on how it moves overall. CoreWeave, CWVE, this one for sure on the watch list. CRWV, that's the ticker. There we go. CoreWeave reported earnings. We read that earnings report yesterday. A lot of back and forth action. Honestly, insane rally over here. And then it held in this area. Eventually, it broke down. But the monster move overall. And you could say, honestly, like a wedge forming between the after-hour move and today's intraday move overall. So some sort of a wedge over here. Potentially a breakout. Maybe a move back into the all-time high. and above if buyers do step back in. I want to say under over honestly is 70, but you could make up some levels before 70 and use that to trade with too. So I don't really know what the game plan is on this name at the moment, but for sure on the watch list. You know, if I listen to biases of some people that I do idolize and follow, then maybe I'm looking for the short. But if I'm just looking at the chart and just looking for setups to trade off of, then they are a lot of long setups that were potentially you know, capitalizable on, and also some short setups too that you could have played. So just gotta keep biases out of your heart, out of your mind, and just look for setups overall. So Corviv at the moment, based on where the chart is, I don't really have too much of a concrete game plan, but if it does get back above earnings VWAP, today's VWAP, which is around that $70 area, I am no longer looking for a short on this name at all. That doesn't mean I shorted today and I lost. I just didn't trade it today at all, but I was watching it and I was itching to short this name today. So Corviv for sure going to be watching it, but the priority is a little bit low. DXC dropping to the downside yesterday after hours, and basically reversing most of that move. Is this important? Wow, monster reversal. Maybe if the stock does dip back into 15, potentially dip buying opportunity over there on DXC. Monster reversal on that one, so we'll keep that one on the watch list. Coinbase. So this is why I said I am not interested on buying Coinbase for my swing account at all. This company sucks. All right, garbage company. Their earnings reports garbage. Company's garbage. The fact that they're getting added to the S&P 500 is even more garbage. I just don't get it. But overall, Coinbase making an addition to the S&P 500 index. You know, the people who make these calls are smarter than I am. So all I can do is nod and wave, smile and wave. And let it happen, right? But you know, nice little move to the downside. Apparently a probe from the SEC or the FTC. I can't forget which one of the three-letter designation companies or government agencies is coming to attack on Coinbase this time. But Coinbase basically having a probe that you know, they're reporting false numbers for member usage and daily active and so on. And if that's the case, that's not that big of a fraud, if you ask me. I mean, yeah, it's not good that you're lying about member usages, but as long as you're not lying about how much money is being used and generated, I think it's still a very minor fraud and a slap on the hand. So whatever, who cares? Coin is sadly getting added to the S&P 500 tomorrow, and this little dip is interesting. We'll be watching to see if Coinbase you know, has some buyers coming in. If anytime a stock gets added to an index, you have to buy the company if you are you know, if you're a fiduciary and you said you are basically following the S&P 500 index. So if you are following the SPY, whatever the SPY does, you have to do it too. Otherwise, you are in violation of the law. So chances are, you know, some of these companies are front running that news. They are buying Coinbase before S&P 500 buys it. That way, they have a better average than the S&P 500, and they make their clients a little bit more money, and so on. So all those things kind of coming into play, and that's why you're seeing Coinbase pop up. Yeah, that news overall is negative, but it'll be interesting to see how the stock trades right around that midpoint right there, which is 246.50. So if the stock does, is it 246? I guess it's 246. So right at 246, it will be interesting to see 240 to 246. If the stock doesn't get below that area, I think it's still in a little bit of a bullish trend over here, especially the fact that it's getting added to the index tomorrow. So very much in play. We'll be watching for some trades, no doubt. Now we're heading into stocks that are reported earnings today after hours, and sadly, we don't really have much time left. Too much time spent telling you guys about the news and my opinions instead of actually just talking about stocks. So quickly reading about earnings reports over here, starting with AMAT 7.1 billion versus 7.13, 2.39 versus 2.13. So beating on all sides over there. Revenue miss. I thought they beat. Okay. So very slight miss on revenue. Great. Total revenue up 7% year over year. Gross margin 49.1%, generated 1.57 billion in cash, distributed nearly 2 billion to shareholders in value. A company ended with 6.17 billion in cash. Outlook third quarter 7.2 plus or minus 500. Estimates is 7.19. So I guess that plus or minus 500 did not be appreciated by the market. They are expecting anywhere from 2.15 to 2.55, whereas the estimates 2.32. Low end a little bit lower than how close the high end is to the estimate. So I guess that's also not being liked by the market overall, and maybe the conference call also adding fuel to the fire because the stock did push down over here in the after hours. I mean, 7% growth for what I remember, semiconductor company. What does Applied Materials do again? Is this like a material company or metals company or semiconductor company? I forget what they do, but just going off the earnings report, 7% growth is fine, right? They're making what, $2-3 a year. They're expecting to make $2.35 a quarter, actually, if I'm reading that correctly. Is that a quarter? That's a quarter. So they're basically making like, $8 a year or crazy numbers. So they are a very profitable company. You don't really want to be shorting stocks like this. So let's quickly go take a look at what the stock's PE is. Is it expensive? It's not an expensive company. Their PE is 22.88. So overall that's a pretty decent company, fairly profitable company. They're making money easily, no problem making money at all. And sadly, one thing that does stand out is they are rejecting the 200-day moving average. So that is a very clear reject of the 200-day moving average at the moment off the earnings report. But just reading off the earnings report, granted how low the PE is, looking at the all other factors, the growth on the 7% year over year, it's going to be a little hard shorting this name. But we have somewhat of a good trade here, honestly, if you ask me. There is the hidden bullshit rule. If you ask me, there is this hidden bullshit rule. It's called the gaps must always be filled rule. So if that rule does play out tomorrow, there could be a trade here for us to play with, and we are actually not punching into any moving averages. So potentially the 21 moving average catching up, that means the stock goes somewhere down over here and gives you a trade opportunity. So I think something's setting up over here if it looks right, and if it doesn't, there's another opportunity that could set up also. So just let me quickly show you guys what I'm looking at. So looking at on AMAT for the upside, resistance to be 165.65. That's also like the inflection level, the main level I really care about as to what the stock is going to do. And you have 158.80. I'm just gonna say 160. I'm gonna round it up a little bit, right? So 165.50 to 160, you have this little pocket where the stock could potentially break down and hold below 165.50. Let's just say 165. So if it's holding below 165, that means sellers are selling below 165. Then you have a short from somewhere below 165 to potentially 160. Maybe even you wait for sellers to actually show up below 165. That way you take maybe a 164 breakdown. If you break down 164, let's say stock is somewhere like that, you take the breakdown of 164, and then your risk is basically 165, 165.50. You're risking $1.50 for that move to the downside, which could stop here and bounce right back, or it could just keep on bleeding. We don't know how much of a bigger move it can be. So that is what I want to be playing for right here. I want to see sellers piling into this trade below 165 and give me an opportunity to take the breakdown of 164 for the bigger move, or maybe even take that shorts into pops into 165. If 165 is you know, giving a nice little range, you can offer into it. But I fear that if 165 holds tomorrow, if buyers are actually stepping up at 165 and the stock is holding above it, there is no short. I fear the stock is going to actually set up for a long instead, which is what I was talking about for the next opportunity. So if we do hold above this beautiful level, let's say 166, so you basically ignore 165 completely. You have 166 and you have 164. It's either trading below 164 for a short, or it's trading above 166 for a long. Very simple trade over there on AMAT tomorrow, and you just, you know, honestly ignore what the stock does completely. So let me just put in 166, and I want to even put it in my notes: inflection level 166 and 164. If stock above 166, look long. If stock below 165, 164, look short. Pretty simple. All right, pretty simple trade over there on AMAT. We'll see what happens next on the stock. Next one, going into the watch list that I have over here, we have Take-Two, TTWO. I know Take-Two was at its all-time high and sadly broke down. So let's go take a look at it. GTA 6 delay looms over Take-Two's interactive report. Sales beat, EPS miss, outlook updated. So let's quickly skim through this. 1.08 versus 1.1, slight miss. Net bookings from recurrent consumer spending up 14% in the quarter, and made 77% of total net bookings. The company said the largest contributors, Civilizations. You guys make Civ? Okay. Match Factory, no clue what that is. Empires and Puzzles. Red Dead Redemption, okay, that one's your game too. Obviously, we talked about the NBA 2K and the Grand Theft series not too long ago. Where is the outlook? Take-Two outlook, our 2026 outlook reflect continued positive momentum. Guidance 5.9 to 6 billion as we bring exciting lineups to the market. 2007. I thought it was postponed to oh, I guess. Oh, okay, gotcha. We expect to achieve record levels of net booking that will establish a new baseline for our business and set us on a path of enhanced profitability. All right, I mean, I'm interested. I'm always interested to see when game companies in general are trading around. You know, Roblox is one of them, which is actually pretty good. I mean, Roblox breaking out, monster move over here if you ask me on Roblox. A nice 52-week high move, and continuing its breakout. You know, a part of me wishes I took that little breakout at 74, but no, nice little higher high, higher low. And tomorrow you could even say if the stock is holding above 80, maybe you could look long. You can also see how volume is rising up on this name as it's going higher. So yeah, I'm not sure what the hell Roblox is up to, but Roblox is for sure making a move up north at the moment. But we're not even talking about Roblox. We're talking about Take-Two. Take-Two making a little bit of a move down south, and you know, it's kind of going into too many moving averages and too many levels and too much consolidation sideways where buyers were already there. So finding a short in this area is going to be very hard, especially if you're looking for a breakdown short. And looking at the report, that report doesn't look bad either. They're up 17% year over year on revenue. So all things combined, I'm thinking that downside move is only because of the delay from GTA, which we already knew was happening. The news leaked not too long ago, and the stock bounced off of that news anyways. So if you are looking for a short, I don't know why you would be. You might want to wait for the stock to get below 219, 220. But you know, any dips into this area, I think is just a no-brainer long. But I might not even day trade this name tomorrow. So I'll just be honest with you, kind of not an interesting name for a day trade at all. Kava with the move to the downside off of its earnings report. Quickly got to go skim through that one over here. Let me go do that one. Kava. Shout out to Benzinga, by the way. If you guys are interested in this awesome software, make sure to go check out my Linktree page down below in the description. Benzinga link right down over here. Get 10% off. Go check out all my other sponsors too. Links are right down there as they're attached to that Linktree page. Okay, Kava. 22 cents, 14 cents estimates, 331 million beating 326 million. Overall good. Revenue jumps 28%, up new company bumps new restaurant opening guidance, so opening more companies than previously expected, and generating more money than also quarter over quarter, year over year. So all things looking good, and they are profitable, right? What's the EPS? 22 cents versus 14. So profitable. I mean, I can hate on companies all I want, but when you're growing 30% year over year, that's a growth company. So it's hard to knock something like that. Sadly, it is below its 200-day moving average. You know, good thing it is below. It deserves to be, if you ask me. This company has no right being in the $100 price areas. But hey, who am I to call that? I'm not an analyst. I'm just a monkey brain day trader. But if you are looking for a trade on this name tomorrow, a very simple line that I just drew, that anyone could have drawn, and you can see how the stock is basically holding above that line right now. So if the stock doesn't get below, what is that, last month's high? Is there a short on this name when they're reporting 30% growth year over year? Is there a short on this name where the PE on this name is now no longer ridiculous? Well, it is still ridiculous, but it's not as ridiculous as it was. So, if it does get below last month's high, yeah, I'll say there's a short. But if it doesn't, I don't think I really want to even be looking for a short on this name at all. So maybe a bounce off of this 94 area could give you some sort of a long, but no holding 94 could give you maybe a short. Not really as high of a priority for tomorrow. Docs did drop to the south side and getting below last month's low, 48. Okay, that's a pretty good move. So below 48 and any pops into 48 and staying below 48 tomorrow, I think is pretty important for the downside. So watching Docs, I'm just gonna put 94 as a support on Kava to potentially keep an eye on for some trades. And Docs, I'm looking to see resistance 48, give me some sort of a trade tomorrow to the short side. Palantir, it's still holding, man. Beautiful hold now above the previous all-time high, while the market looks a little bit scary. So if Palantir actually holds up, I mean, potentially leg number 2, this is a little bit more calm and steady, if you ask me, compared to some of the other stocks. You guys just saw Roblox on the chart and how violent Roblox is ripping to the upside. SE is in the same boat, right? Ripping to the upside. Tesla ripping to the upside. So Palantir a little calm, a little bit steady. It tried to run up, got smoked. It's trying to run up again, forming a little bit of a sideways right side action. When a stock is going right side and creating support, that's awesome, especially when it's doing that at the previous all-time high. So potentially worth looking to keep an eye on this name for the swing account, but more importantly also for the day trade account. So if market goes back up again, Palantir will be #1 priority for the longs. Robinhood, pretty good recovery today, but that's more for the swing account. QBTS, monster breakout above 12 on QBTS, but an instant stuff right back down on this name. The quantum names do seem to be going a little crazy. QBTS, QUBT, RGTI, they all are breaking out one at a time. So I want to be interested for whenever the next one is getting ready to break out. Looks like the next one is very soon over here at the QUBT, because this one actually broke out in the after hours. Damn it. Yeah, so it did break out after hours and tried to make that run up without telling us or anybody really. So it looks like someone is buying quantum names one stock at a time and pumping them up. At the end of the day, look, that's a very good daily chart. If this stock is above 950, 960 and showing support above that, that is a long that I want to fight for. So QUBT, probably the highest priority out of the quantum names if it does get above this 950 to 960 area and gives us some sort of a long to play with. But as I just showed you, some of the other ones did break out and failed to have any follow through above their breakout prices. So chances are that one doesn't either. So maybe a short on the pop. RKLB, good trade over here on the swing account. RKLB going higher today, making a new high a day, holding the previous day midpoint. And running up to the north side. So this one I'm very interested for the swing account. Looking forward to see how this one sets up. But for the day trade, I mean, at this point, any pullback and hold, you can see how volume is actually increasing on this name. Any pullback and hold above the first day's high or even today's VWAP, I think RKLB could give you a trade to keep an eye on. Ooh, small cap name. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the small cap name real quick. What is it? MVST. I'm not even sure if it's small cap, I'll be honest. But the MVST, I guess, yeah, you can call it a small cap. Has a really good pattern here that could give you a breakout above 345, 350. Let's go see if it already happened in the after hours. It did not. Inshallah, that's exactly what you want to see. So if we do get that breakout at 350, 347 tomorrow, I mean, that might be all systems go long on this name. There could be some short squeezing, some breakout longs for the daily chart, some breakout longs intraday coming into play. So watching how MSVT, I know it sounds like MSTR, but MVST could set up for a possible long opportunity for us to play with. MSTR, let's just go to the devil real quick as we're talking about it. A little bit of a breakdown over there. If 400 doesn't hold tomorrow, if any pop and the stock is not holding 400, that is your inflection level where you could use to go short. But if it does hold 400, there's no short at all on that name. Just don't even think about it. Nvidia inside day. Tesla kind of an inside day. It did break yesterday's low, but then, you know, very much an inside day today. And those are the two most important large cap names if you ask me. Oh my god, Apple breakout would be something to keep an eye on. That is very important, so put an alert on Apple over there. This is why you scan for stocks, and this is why you make notes of trades, man. There you go, 214.30. You know, 214.30, 214.50. If we start holding above that, I mean, you are still below the 200-day moving average, but that is Apple, ladies and gentlemen. Apple, the biggest company in the world. Sadly, they are going down in sales, and I do hate Apple technology, but that should not stop me from making money on them if they do go up. So watching Apple on that breakout for a day trade, for a swing trade, so I have an alert set up over there. And the reason why Tesla and Nvidia are not colored in special colors is because I'm watching those stocks every day anyways. I'm watching all of these large cap stocks every day on the 5-minute chart. I have this layout over here where I'm constantly scanning the 5-minute charts to see if there's a trade that I could potentially trade in on those names, but you know, I don't really put them on my watch list too much. But Apple, that one's important. Microsoft going into its all-time high very soon. I mean, ridiculous if you ask me, but it's pushing into its all-time high, so something to keep an eye over there. Meta, I'm not sure where Meta is actually, because I try not to look at Meta too much because the spread on Meta sucks. But Meta giving you a little bit of a pullback, still above the 5-day moving average, looking good and looking strong. So that is basically, ladies and gentlemen, the watch list for tomorrow. I guess you could you know, add in RGTI if it does get back above 12, potentially a second leg up north. If QBTS get back above 12 also, maybe there's another leg up north. It's still above 11, it's still above 1050, so not really as bearish. It's still holding earnings VWAP. So is it a little bearish? Yes. Is it bullish still? Yes. So, you know, I wouldn't say this is bearish 100% until we start holding below $10 on this name, if you ask me. So if we actually do get back above 12 on this name, there could be some nonsensical squeezing, some BS moves over here on quantum computing stocks again. So QBTS, QUBT, RGTI, IonQ, possibly worth keeping an eye on. right? Possibly worth keeping an eye on for some sort of a trade. But you guys can see the watch list over here. The ones with the purple and the orange names are the most important names, and the ones that I'm going to look out for and potentially make some money. Quickly show you guys the econ calendar before I call it a night. I know a lot of you guys said stocks in the chat, but I don't really have time to talk about any other stocks besides the ones I just talked about. It's past 9 o'clock already. I'm tired. My throat is dry. I'm exhausted. I want to get some rest. I want to go. I also have to do a bunch of homework, which is it's not like I'm in school or anything. Homework meaning I have to write up so many stocks because of the amount of movers and shakers that were there today, the amount of trades and opportunities. I have to write up so many moves today, so I'm gonna be up for quite some time. And yeah, I'm just not gonna have enough time to go through some of the stocks that you guys were talking about. So sadly, that's the story for that one. But next time, if you guys are in here, hopefully I'm able to go through your chats. Quickly going through, as I said, the economic calendar. Ask Warren AI. What in the... All right. Economic calendar for tomorrow shows us... What do we have for the 3-star event? No 3-star event at all, but a couple 2-star events. 8:30 export numbers, housing numbers, import numbers. 10 o'clock you got the Michigan numbers. 11 o'clock Atlanta GDP number. Baker Hughes, and then I guess commodity numbers as we always do. Fed member after the market closed, so that's not really as important for day trading. So overall, pretty not as high impact numbers coming out tomorrow on the economic calendar, but still 2-star events that could potentially move the market. Trust me when I say this, I have seen Michigan numbers move the market before. Usually that was a more high volatile environment where any news moves the market. We're possibly not in that environment for the current time being. We were not too long ago, but you know, keep an eye out if you do see these numbers come out scary or a big surprise from what they are expected. That could move the market, and you might get caught off guard and offside if you are not ready for that. So keep an eye out for all of these bad boys. Market did, or do we have an IPO? Let's quickly go check out the IPO. No IPOs until next week. No, they're okay, thank God. Yeah, don't care about that one. That's an acquisition corp. That's actually today. Don't care. That one was today also, very small, don't really care. So we have 2 IPOs, and that one's on the same day, both of them, and both of them are decent size. So we'll talk about this next week, so make sure you tune in for that one. And that's basically all she wrote for tonight's stream, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found some trades and are ready to move the market, as Laced Up Souls is in here. What's up, brother? How you doing, Mike? Move the market is right. Hopefully we get to move the market and make some money, baby. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen. Got Panthers, you know the rest. Go Panthers. All right, ban this guy, dude. How dare you say go Panthers? Ban this guy. All right, time to head out, chat. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend. Let me make sure the outro is playing. It is. Have a great weekend. Let me rewind a little bit. Have a great weekend. Have a great time on the markets tomorrow. Stick to your rules. Stick to your plans. And make that money, baby. Make that money. See you guys next time. Monday, 8 o'clock. Good luck. Get ready for trade off get ready for the watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna bring in my big screen over here, back to another brand new week of After the After Hours with your host TraderPrad. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. It might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, Trader Sync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.